Good evening. How many of you have had to face this fall conflict, football and weddings?
Most of the time, one of those events will keep you from taking part in the other. But tonight, we begin with a story about one small town where a marriage has contributed to a surprising football season. Channel 7's Jason Pederson is here now with us tonight with that story. Jason.
Hey guys, Mountain Pine has not made the state football playoffs since 2010. In fact, the Red Devils won a total of 3 games over the past 6 seasons. This year, the team is riding a 7-game winning streak, fueled by a rule used only a few times over the past 40 years. Arkansas high school football's biggest turnaround is taking place in the shadow of a Garland County mountain, under towering pine trees. After a winless season last year, Mountain Pine opened this season with a 35-0 loss to Jessieville. But the next week, the Red Devils won. Then in week 3, the team won again. Pine is now 7-1 and heading for the playoffs. So what changed between week 1 and week 2? A star player became eligible. Mountain Pine has several good players, but this player has rushed for over 100 yards in every game. He has scored 16 touchdowns in those 7 victories. He was a transfer student, initially ruled ineligible by the Arkansas Activities Association. He gained eligibility thanks to a little-known and seldom used exception. He got married to a student in the district and moved in with her parents.
We're in the participation business, so we try to get kids eligible as long as they meet the rules that all of our students have to meet in our state.
Rule 16, subsection A, exception number 6, states that if a student is married and living with a spouse who had an established domicile in the district 1 year prior to the marriage, then he or she is instantly eligible. On August 31st, Mountain Pine Superintendent Bobby Applegate emailed the AAA asking, "What all information did you say you needed for our student to become eligible when he gets married, besides the license?" A week later, Applegate provided the AAA with a marriage certificate with the names of 2 17-year-old students on it. Applegate also provided an email from the bride's father confirming that the teens had married due to certain circumstances. The student in question played in the 2nd game of the season, and the Red Devils haven't lost since.
What we do is just make sure that they followed our rules, and being married with a marriage certificate, that's part of our rules.
So we visited the home where the player now lives. His father-in-law decided against doing an on-camera interview with us, but he assures us that the primary reason for this union does not involve sports or eligibility.
Okay, so the superintendent played a key role in helping the student get eligible. What does he have to say about all this?
Well, we asked Superintendent Bobby Applegate for an interview. He emailed us to say, "I'm sorry, but at this time I'll have to decline the interview." The player's mother also said no to our request for an interview, as did the newly married teens.
Okay, Jason Pederson tonight. Thanks so much.
Well, 10 days ago, an inmate inside Cummins Prison, Chris Hudson, was found dead in his bed.
While a state police investigation is underway, a source inside the prison tells Channel 7 News Hudson's death was related to the synthetic drug K2. Channel 7's Jason Pederson joins us tonight with a look at what is a growing problem inside Arkansas prisons.
Yeah, during a 5-week period in August and September of this year, 4 inmates in 3 different Arkansas prisons were found dead in their cells. Stephen Shaw, Devin LeMay, Cody Brickner, and Kenneth Jones were all 29 to 33 years old. All of them had drug-related disciplinary problems while in prison. For example, on June 28th, Shaw earned 30 days in isolation for using drugs, alcohol, or other chemicals. And twice last year, he got the same punishment for refusing to submit to a drug test. Shaw was serving a 55-year sentence for killing 41-year-old Wesley Burris in his Little Rock home in 2012, and then setting the home on fire in an attempt to conceal the crime. A state police investigation into Shaw's death states that it was suspected that K2 is involved. The other 3 deaths are still being investigated. If they turn out to be K2 related, it will not surprise State Crime Lab Deputy Director Cindy Moran.
And it's very dangerous, and it has different effects on the people, different people, and it just depends on the compounds themselves. They're ever changing, and so it may not take very much to cause a death for someone.
At our request, the State Crime Lab researched all of the prison inmate deaths linked to K2 over a 14-month period, July 1st of 2016 through August 31st of 2017.
We've had 10 cases that have tested positive for these K2 or synthetic cannabinoids.
KATV has been investigating a dozen inmate deaths that occurred since last summer. The state crime lab confirms that 7 of the deaths do involve K2, but cannot specify which ones. Others may be K2 related as well, but the drug metabolizes quickly and comes in over 100 varieties. In many cases, K2 use is suspected, but cannot be confirmed. A sister of Julian Shavers tells us he did die to a drug overdose, but it was not K2. The wife of Donnie Nayland says his cause of death is listed as hypertension and hardening of the arteries. But she says her husband often complained about the rampant drug use inside Cummins Prison, his home for the past 20 years. A drug addiction cost Nayland his freedom and possibly his life.
Do you think that the prison system thinks that there's a K2 problem, and do you think they're trying to address it?
No. Not unless his death has rocked the boat, no. I really don't think that they, according to Donnie, they don't give a shit.
A correctional officer at Varner watched Jody Cook consume a kite, or a folded piece of paper, commonly used to transport drugs in prison. He died several hours later. Kirby Joe Coggin told fellow inmates he was going to sell his commissary items and buy enough K2 to kill himself. James Walker suffered a head injury during an incident and later died. An inmate tells us Walker was beaten to death over a K2 debt. All 3 inmates had drug-related disciplinaries on their records.
They call it deuce in there. It's K2. It's that synthetic marijuana out here.
We talked to a mother who has a son serving a sentence in an Arkansas prison. A drug problem got him in. She's praying a drug problem doesn't keep him from getting out.
Just the last year, really, is when that deuce has gotten really thick inside the prison. And he said he tried to stay away. He said there's something about it. He said, he's tried lots of drugs out here off and on. And he said there's something about that people can't stay away from it.
Our concern was how these things could be entering in the prison system.
So we asked how many correctional officers have been terminated over the past year for bringing K2 or other illegal drugs into prison. We learned that 15 people have been fired for trafficking in all forms of contraband. The inmates, the relatives of inmates, former prison employees, and volunteers at the prisons that we've talked with all agree that correctional officers are the most likely way that K2 is getting into Arkansas prisons.
Inside or outside prison walls, this is a drug that is very dangerous and you want to avoid. Jason, thank you so much for that.
Dramatic cell phone video claims to show the impact that the synthetic drug K2 is having on Arkansas inmates.
Channel 7's Jason Pederson reported Tuesday that K2 is suspected in the deaths of 16 prisoners over 14 months. Tonight, Jason's back with an inside look at how this drug affects users. Jason?
Yeah, the source of these video clips says they were taken with a cell phone inside an Arkansas prison within the past 2 weeks. K2 incidents are dramatically up at almost every Arkansas prison this year. So are K2 deaths. We showed 2 former inmates these video clips shared exclusively with Channel 7 and asked them how the drug is getting in. What was your experience? How did it get in?
Officers bringing it in, and all then depend on what unit you were at. They could bring it in the one of the ADC vehicles. Now, if you had inside maintenance, it go to maintenance, and from maintenance, it go to the inmates. From there, it'd go into the barracks.
That inmate did 20 years. He did not want his identity revealed. Reginald Thurman did 7. Both men agree that the answer to cleaning up contraband in the prisons has more to do with prosecution than prevention.
We're talking about K2, right, which is a synthetic drug, still a drug. Me, myself, I was prosecuted for manufacturing and delivery of a controlled substance. That's what I went to prison for. That's delivery of a controlled substance. Why are they not prosecuted? Why are they not put in prison? It's the same thing. And now look at the epidemic that you have with these inmates that they got going on right now. People are losing their lives. People are hallucinating. Health is at risk. I mean, it's the same thing as a Class Y felony that I was prosecuted for.
Now, both of those men have been out for 2 years, so both missed the height of the recent K2 epidemic. When asked why inmates are trying this dangerous drug, both cited depression and lack of hope or purpose caused by incarceration and unfair discipline.
Chris, certainly some disturbing images from inside those prison walls. Jason, thanks very much. 15 correctional officers have been fired over the past year for bringing contraband into Arkansas prisons. We asked today if anyone has been prosecuted for bringing in drugs. We were told only that the ADC will advocate for prosecution.
When a company's online reputation is suffering, how long does it take to turn it around?
The answer for one Little Rock moving company is 3 months. But 7 on Your Side's Jason Pederson is here now to explain why things might not be as sterling as they seem.
Yeah, many of the complaints we're going to look at have a similar theme. A low quote gets the job, but halfway through the move, a much higher moving bill is presented.
They said, well, if you don't pay it, I have to drive off with your stuff.
I just would never use them again. I think they took advantage of us in the situation we were in.
He was really rude and just a little condescending.
These customers all regret hiring All My Sons Moving and Storage out of Little Rock. In a statement from a PR firm, All My Sons says, "We're disappointed and surprised to hear about these customer complaints and will contact each of them personally to resolve any outstanding issues." Despite these complaints, the Little Rock All My Sons franchise has seen its Google rating soar in recent months. Prior to February, only 9 of the 47 reviews listed on Google were 5 stars. Half were 1 star, the lowest possible. But of the 44 reviews posted since February, 36 have been 5 stars. There have been only 4 1-star reviews. A company statement explains the turnaround this way. In February, All My Sons Moving and Storage implemented a new customer checkout system that encourages feedback via an automated prompt that directs them to Google reviews. We are pleased to see the high volume of satisfied customers. Elizabeth Bowles with Aristotle says one explanation for such a dramatic shift in company performance could be new leadership, and All My Sons operation manager was replaced in January.
But another option is that they're made up or procured in some way, or that they've been offered something to give a review or put in a position of giving a positive review.
We contacted several of those recent 5-star reviewers. Melissa Aguiar says she gave All My Sons 5 stars after the company requested that rating. Sarah Dunlap says she felt pressured to provide a high rating. Cheryl Piguet says she was asked to fill out the review before her move was complete. She later found damaged items. Ebony Elliott says All My Sons filled out her review for her, and she does not agree with the rating. And Justin Donaldson, who we didn't contact, is a sales manager for All My Sons. There were also several 5-star reviews from people who seem to have no connection or presence in Arkansas.
The system can always be gamed. That said, I think that consumers can protect themselves. I think that they can look at more than just the review online. There are other places they can go.
Like the Attorney General's office, which has received 7 complaints over the past 12 months, including this one from Craig Bratton, who hired All My Sons to move him from Little Rock to Benton late last year. Bratton filed a police report after a $900 computer monitor was damaged and a large water jug with over $500 worth of coins was missing. Customer care team member Doug Hillman responded via email that, without a conviction, the alleged theft did not occur.
The guys that were on the truck were very nice and very apologetic. It was the management staff and the schedulers that were rude.
I call this whole experience being robbed at iPad point.
Find someone else to move your stuff.
Now, here are some things that these customers learned that may help you with your next move. Get at least 3 written estimates. Insist on a walkthrough and a thorough inventory to help ensure a more accurate estimate. Pay close attention to what each estimate includes and does not include. These customers say charges for packing materials, fuel, and travel time were not mentioned until midway through the move. Don't pay a large deposit and review your contract before anything is loaded on the truck.
Okay, robbed at the point of an iPad. That's interesting. Okay, so this is a local franchise that belongs to a larger national company. How are the reviews online for the company overall?
Nationally? Yeah,
National.
Not great. We checked in Consumer Affairs is a website that currently has 122 written reviews from all over the country. 114 out of 122 are 1-star reviews. That's the lowest possible rating. If you'd like to read the complete statement sent to us by All My Sons public relations firm, you can find a link to that story at KATV.com.
Okay, don't always believe what you read, sounds like. Jason, thank you very much.